Hi everyone, Karin on Lifestyle here. Today we're going to do a little bit on stencils, hand building with stencils. We're going to build two bowls, a rectangular tray and a larger tray that you can use to either set the bowls on or just have as something extra. Here I'm rolling out the clay, taking some of the air bubbles out. You can kind of see that this is clay that I've used before. It's called Missouri Gold. It's a wonderful light brown color when it's been bisque fired. And then I'll probably go ahead and use just a regular clear glaze on this when I'm finished and let the beautiful clay show through. You could see me cutting out the shapes, and in this case I have used a stencil that had kind of pie-shaped corners cut out of it, and that makes a bowl that doesn't have exactly square sides. You can see that the sides are a little bit out there, so more bowl than box shaped. Here I'm just smoothing it down. I really enjoy the process of hand building, and a lot of hand building is just messing with your shape, getting your sides even, cutting off the tops to make sure that they're level. A lot of goes into just working with the piece and making sure it's like you want it to be. You want to compress the rim a little bit, which is kind of what I'm doing here. I think I may have these out of order just a bit, but in any case, it'll work just fine. I'm doing a voiceover today because there was a lot of wheel noise in the studio when I recorded this, kind of the joys of sharing a studio space. But I love sharing my space with Laura for sure, who is a production wheel potter. It's so relaxing. Oh, this is something that I wanted to show you guys. I'm rolling out basically a little snake of some scrap clay there and putting it in the seam. There's a lot of this, and I usually go over each seam if the clay is. This is pretty damp clay here, so I didn't really need to do it for all of them. But if the seam splits in any way, I'll put one of those little snakes on there to make sure that there's absolutely no way that this bowl could leak or crack in the seam. To Laura, it will be fun to do a video of her throwing one of these days. So relaxing to watch. Yep, I thought I got this out of order. Here's me cutting out actually the second bowl, and you can see those little pie-shaped wedges I'm doing. I'm also beveling the edges of them. It does make it easier when you bevel the edge of it to put the sides together in a way that you don't have to really slip and score too much. Here I'm paddling the piece to make sure that the edges are all going to be fairly straight, not have a lot of finger marks in them. And then we're just going to go with a lot of working the clay here. I'm using Filmora editing software today, and I've really come to love this software. I know I don't talk about my production a lot. I'm fairly new. I've never edited anything or made videos before. It has really been easy to learn this Filmora editing software, and kind of fun to use, really. I am still learning, so there's a lot of errors that go on, and it takes me a really long time to edit. Here I'm beveling the clay edges again for the kind of rectangular tray that I'm making. Here I'm leveling out the piece. As you can see, it's not level. Filmora did not, by the way, sponsor this video in any way. Just like Amazon does not sponsor the tools, the links to the tools that I've got down below either. These are just things that I've listed and shared with you guys just because it's fun. And this has been such a new experience for me, making videos and you know, the different processes that go into putting together a YouTube video. It's been a lot of fun. And as you can see, there's just an awful lot of work that goes along with making these hand building pieces. I spent it was a little over an hour making the two smaller bowls and the larger bowls. I would work on one and then let it dry a little bit and then work on another one. Here I'm working with the edges. The seams are really the main thing that need to be worked while the clay is still fairly wet. You can always shave the top, make the top more even, kind of smooth out the interior of the piece, but boy, those seams need to be right by the time the clay dries, or you will just have a tray that won't hold liquid. I've made this size of tray before. It's really great for putting a crustless quiche in, or something that's fairly shallow, but you want to still put it in the oven and only serve 2 people. It's super for that. Here I'm just doing some more smoothing on the seams. I kind of left all this in because to me the process is really everything. When you're working with clay and doing hand building, the working with the clay and making it perfect, or as perfect as you want it, making the sides and the tops look exactly like you want them to, is really the process that makes it very satisfying. And this one has dried out a bit, so there again I'm compressing the top, making the top the shape that I wanted. There's a seam there that I end up fixing. I know the seams on the left-hand side as you're watching this really look terrible, but I do end up fixing all of those. The sun is shining in from that direction and it really does look like those are bad seams, but they're not. They ended up sealing just fine. But there again, you see me adding clay to the corners where I need to, just to make sure that those seams are absolutely tight. Stencils are one of my favorite ways to build pieces that I can replicate over and over again. I make the stencils out of this stiff plastic sort of paper. Or craft paper. Here's some really lightweight foam craft paper. I've had this roll of sort of plastic paper for a very long time. I wanted to get this tray cut out, and I just sort of eyeballed the shape of it. But I like to make these stencils out of this plastic paper because then I can repeat it. This is my Missouri Gold hunk of clay. It comes in 25-pound lugs. I believe I got this from either Brackert's in Lawrence, Kansas, or Crane Yard Supply, Ceramic Supply in Kansas City. I can't really remember where I got it. Going to roll out another piece for the larger tray. Again, a few air bubbles in there that you want to always work out of your clay. Making sure that my piece is big enough for my stencil. And then once again, aligning the crystals in the clay, making the clay strong. And here I'm just going to cut out very small pie-shaped corners because I don't want this side to be terribly tall. I want it just almost to be a tray. And I'm just going to bring those up just gently, sort of a rustic little edge to this tray. It's not going to be exact. It's going to complement the sides of the bowls that I'm making with it. Sort of that same information on the sides. This one I'm not going to move at all. I am going to finish it right here, cover it, and let it dry. It's going to be difficult to get this not to warp. I'm probably going to put my sand socks or my rice-filled socks on this tray when I'm finished. Well, that's about it, folks. Thanks for watching. I'm going to cover this with plastic, let it dry very, very slowly over the course of several days. These pieces will be so much fun to glaze in just a natural, clear glaze. I've given so many of these trays away as gifts. Make wonderful hostess gifts. Here's some of the stencils that I've kind of got in my collection. I've got several platters that I use, and I just make that rustic edge on the platters. They're so much fun. Some of them are egg-shaped. That's a little more traditional shape there. This is an interesting stencil. It has very straight sides, so it almost looks like a box or a box that you can, set things in for more decorative rather than food. Here I have a little tiny rice bowl that I make, kind of a mise en place sort of bowl, or tiny little one-serving rice bowl, or to serve condiments in. This is a stencil that I use for a box that I make. I've given a lot of these away as well. They're very popular, and you can put a lot of decorative elements on the top. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you like our content here.